Welcome to the Brighter English Academic Writing course. In this series of videos, we will look at the writing process, study the structure of the essay, and consider common templates in academic writing like argumentation, problem solution, cause-effect, etc., etc. And also we will provide you with a complete walkthrough to all the aspects of academic writing. There's a great deal of information to cover, and that's why every video is very intensive and fast-paced. Make sure while you're watching, once in a while you pause and take notes. Also use the time-stamped outline in the description of the videos in order to navigate around. And remember, when you watch and finish a video, you need to review and reinforce. So come back and watch the video again. Let's start with a working definition of the essay. An essay is a piece of organized writing expressing a writer's idea on a specific topic. Notice that there are three important aspects to the definition. Firstly, the essay is organized writing, and you will see that we'll talk about organization of ideas and information a lot. Secondly, the essay is the expression of ideas. It is not a statement of facts, which means you cannot simply collect a number of facts, citations, data, put them together and call it an essay. We need some kind of human agency, some kind of subjective perspective that gives direction to all the facts and all the materials that we have in the essay. And finally, the essay topic, especially in academic essays, is specific and to the point, and we'll discuss this later on. You cannot simply choose a general, vague topic and write about it academically. Now, whenever you're writing any piece, whether it's a story or an essay or a news item, you go through a writing process. And there are 5 important steps to the writing process. The first one is pre-writing. During this step, you choose a topic, you narrow it down, that is, you make it specific, and you will see how to do it later on in later videos. You consider your audience, and you brainstorm ideas. You collect all the materials. The second step is research. When you find your sources, in the case of academic essays, you find academic sources. You evaluate your sources to make sure that they are credible, they're up to date, they're relevant. You decide on a template. We have different templates in academic writing like argumentation, comparison contrast, problem solution, cause effect. And we'll have a separate videos on each of the templates. They're really important. And then you make an outline, which is the bare bone, the structure of the essay from the beginning to the end. A very important map that you can follow to write. The next step is drafting. This is when you start really writing your paragraphs, one after another. And while you're writing, you look at your materials, what you have brainstormed, what you have found and researched. If there are citations, ideas from other sources, you summarize them and paraphrase them. And once in a while, usually at the end of a paragraph, you pause, you read, and judge your writing. After finishing all the paragraphs, then you start revising the whole essay. When you're revising, you look at the content and organization of the essay. You may delete or add ideas or information. Sometimes you see you need more research, so you do more research. And sometimes you work on the language. You replace overused or unclear words and phrases, and you make the expression polished. And finally, the last step is editing and proofreading. This is when you work on grammar and spelling, capitalization, punctuation, APA formatting and style, or whatever other formatting you may be using. And you polish the language absolutely. Now, let's speak about the differences and similarities between personal versus academic essays. These are the kinds of essays that we write at school or in general English classes. And in these essays, you express your personal opinion on a topic. They may give you a topic, there may be an examination or a composition, or you may need to choose a topic yourself. While writing about the topic, you use personal language. I'm going to speak about personal language more specifically a little bit later on. But basically, you're saying, I believe, I think, in my opinion. That's the use of personal language. And also, in order to justify or support your ideas and opinions and perspective, you use personal experience. You said, I believe in this, or I agree with this, I disagree with this because this happened to me, or I've witnessed this, or I've experienced this, or somebody in my family did this, and that's why I believe in this and that. On the other hand, in academic essays, you need to follow a certain procedure. Firstly, the topic that you have should be detailed and technical, but relevant to a larger part of society. Now, this sounds paradoxical, but it is not. All right, this is the nature of science. We focus on a very, very specific area of an event or a phenomenon, and we study it deeply, but the conclusions we come to are relevant to many, many people. A very good example is COVID-19. This is a disease that we've been dealing with for quite some time. And if you look at scientific articles written about COVID-19 and the coronavirus, are very, very detailed and technical. If you're not a health professional, most probably you wouldn't even understand the title of these essays and articles. But the conclusions that these essays and articles come to are relevant to everybody on the earth. All right? That is the kind of topic that you want to have in academic writing. Secondly, in writing academic essays, we use formal and impersonal language. I'm going to define what I mean by formal and impersonal more specifically. And also, in order to support your ideas, you go through the scientific method, right? You make observations, you have experimentation, analysis of data. You use other people's works, other researchers' works like citations and data to support your ideas. No matter what kind of essay you're writing, whether your essay is short or long, personal or academic, the essay always has the same structure. There are three main parts in any kind of essay. You have an introduction at the beginning, you have a body, and then at the end you have a conclusion. The introduction and conclusion are usually shorter. The body is the largest part. The body is the most important part of the essay. This is the part in which you're giving all the new information, all the findings, all the data analysis. But we need the introduction at the beginning because it makes all the preparations so that we can understand the new information and the details in the body. Then in the body, you discuss all those details. And finally, in the conclusion, you summarize and wrap up everything. The reason why we always have three parts, the introduction, the body, and the conclusion in an essay, is how the human brain works. It is really difficult for the human brain to understand details and new information immediately without any preparation. And that is why we need an introduction at the beginning of the essay in which we discuss general ideas. We give some kind of background, we discuss the context in which something happens or we discuss something. And then when the brain is prepared, we can move on to the body in which we have all the details, all the specific information, in which you also academically support your ideas and the information that you have. And even after giving all the details, we need to move on to the conclusion in which you repeat some part of the information, you summarize and you paraphrase so that the brain can retain information. Now, if you simply remember this simple transition from general ideas in the introduction to details in the body and back to general ideas in the conclusion, you can absolutely avoid two very common mistakes in the essays. One of them is containing details in the introduction and or conclusion. All right, remember the introduction and the conclusion are the parts in which you should have general ideas and you're not supposed to have any specific information, any details. All right, that would be confusing to your readers. The second common mistake is coming to the body of the essay in which you're supposed to have all the specific information, all the details, but still speaking about the topic and the main idea very generally and very vaguely. So basically in the body, you have general and vague ideas. All right. Remember again, you're supposed to start from general ideas in the introduction, laying the background, talking about the context, then move on to all the details that you have on your main idea in the body, and then back to general ideas by wrapping up, summarizing, repeating, and paraphrasing. In any form of academic writing, there's a word limit. Whether it is the IELTS examination, IELTS academic, or an academic essay, essay assignments in colleges or universities, you always have a word limit. And there are different ways of showing the word limit. Sometimes they give you one number, which could be the minimum. Sometimes there is a range. For example, they say the essay should be between 1,000 and 1,200 words, or whatever it is. So make sure that you work within the word limit. And actually developing the skill to work within the word limit is really important in academic studies. Now, usually, but not always, this is how the word limit is divided into the different parts you have in the essay. 10% of your word limit will go into the introduction. 80% of your word limit will go into the body, because the body is the most important part of the essay. And 10% of the word limit will go into the conclusion. Of course, this could be different from essay to essay, instructions to instructions, and instructor or professor to instructor or professor. So always make sure that you read the instructions to any kind of essay, whether it is an examination or an assignment, carefully, and make sure that you write all the paragraphs and everything within the word limit. Let's speak about the style. The kind of style that you use in academic writing should be formal and impersonal. Specifically, it means that you cannot use any personal language. And personal language is the use of any phrase or sentence in which you have I, me, my, you, your, we, us, and our. All right. So if you have phrases or sentences like, in my opinion, I believe, I think, as you can see, as we can see in our society, this is the use of personal language. And in academic writing, we never use them. Either you have to simply omit and avoid using personal language in the phrase, or you have to express it in a way that you don't use personal language. You shouldn't use vague general words or phrases. Everything should be specific. For example, instead of saying something or somebody, name what you mean specifically. You cannot use casual everyday words or phrases. For example, phrasal verbs, idioms, fillers, which are words or phrases like you know. They are used in spoken language in order to give yourself time to think ahead and make the sentence or think what you want to say next. These are fillers. Slang, abbreviations, exaggerations, etc. These are things that you want to avoid in formal academic style. You cannot use contractions. Contractions are short forms like isn't, there. In academic writing, you need to write the complete form, is not, they are. It's not a good idea to use popular phrases or cliches, and we have many, many of them, all right? Especially in student essays, sometimes you learn one word or one phrase that you want to repeat all the time. One of them is, for example, nowadays. It is noted that, it is a proven fact that, so on and so forth, that many students learn from different books or classes, and they want to use the same phrase or the same sentence again and again and again. It's not a good idea to use them. You should use academic words or phrases which are appropriate to the field of study. If you're writing about biology, you should use any word or phrase which is appropriate to biology, and so on and so forth. And also make sure that you use higher level grammar and vocabulary in academic writing. That's really important. Now, remember one important thing. There is a correlation between the complexity of ideas and the complexity of language, which means in order to express complex ideas, you need complex language. You need complex sentences. You need complex vocabulary. And it is not possible to simplify too much. If you have complex ideas and you want to simplify your sentences and vocabulary, for sure you will lose part of the meaning, part of the message. And this is really important. In many essays attempted by students, one of the main problems is this one: not using higher level grammar and vocabulary, trying to explain everything simply. Well, in this video, we have laid the foundations of academic writing. We have looked at the different aspects of the essay, the definition, the structure, and the style. Make sure that you watch the video again if you need to. And most importantly, remember that you need to put all the ideas into practice. It is by writing that you learn how to write. In the next video, we're going to look at the introduction. If these videos are of any value to you, make sure you subscribe, comment, and like.